So take the support that you need for your Virasana, which is knees together, toes wide enough apart that your sits bones can come all the way down, go, to the floor or to support. So you could use a brick or a book behind your sits bones to give you that support, or you can fold a blanket. But you do want something that will allow you to press down into those sits bones and really be able to feel that. If Virasana is not accessible to you because of knees or ankles or anything like that, you can sit in Swastikasana, cross legs. And I'm going to look over this way a lot because this is where you all are. All right. And then once you're in your Virasana, reach forward, lift up the knees, lengthen the shin bones, and then reach back and pull from the toe end to really extend the shin to its maximum. Lean forward, roll your shins out, and settle back down. And then find the exact center of your sits bones. And from that exact center, press all the way up. Get more length in the pelvis, more length in the middle ribs, more length in the sternum. Lift the sternum, but then draw your head back. Expand your arms and bring your palms together. You can use the thumbs to lift the sternum just a little bit more, but then be sure to release the shoulders back down. Lift up again and allow your eyelids to softly close from the top to the bottom. Allow your eyes to recede back toward the rear of your head as if they were looking backwards into your skull. And draw your awareness inward. Focus on your breath for a moment. Just observe the qualities of that breath this morning. And use that focus to draw your awareness away from the external world and inward into the realm of yoga. I'll chant 3 Oms. Feel free to join or just listen. Complete inhalation, complete exhalation. Re-lift your chest. Release your head toward your heart. Set an intention for your practice today. Release your hands, raise your head, and allow your eyes to open. So it's standing pose week. For standing poses, we need a long torso and open chest and strong legs. So let's stay seated, but let's switch to Adho Mukha Virasana. So remove the support under your sits bones, bring your toes together, knees apart. And for a moment, just sit on your heels. If you can't reach your heels, or if you know you won't be able to keep your sits bones on your heels, when you move forward, you can take blankets folded at any height and put them between the sits bone and the heels, but you definitely want to be sure that there's a contact with the sits bone and the heels, and we're going to be going forward. So again, if your sits bones are going to lift up, put that support in between. So just press the shins down into the ground for a moment, and again, get all of those spaces. Lift up from the pelvis, lift up, and lift up and sternum. Then Urdhva Hastasana. Good. Get as long as you can, raise the arms even more, and then pivot forward and bring your hands to the floor. Pay attention to the sits bones. Again, if they ever come off if the sits bones ever come off of the heels, then put some support in between. But now press the sits bones and lift the sternum up. Get as much length in your spine as possible. Then walk a little more forward. Sits bones back, sternum up. Sits bones back, sternum up. And come to your maximum. If you can, rest your forehead on the floor and really pull the sits bones back and walk the fingers forward. Get length. Then lift yourself up. Move the dogs out of the way. And we're going to turn to your right. So walk your hands over to the right side. I have to lift my abdomen flesh up and over my thigh so that it doesn't get bunched. Not everybody has that much abdomen flesh, but if you do, give yourself that space. Keep pulling your sits bone back to that left hip so that it stays contacted. And then reach your hands out again to your right. And allow your head to come down. You'll feel a strong, strong stretch in the left side. Expand that, but walk out with the right side too so that you're not really lopsided. Then lift up and come back to center. Take 2 breaths in the center. And then up and over to the left. Stretch the side ribs. And up. Back to center. And walk yourself back up to seated. Good. And now, lean forward, cross your shins behind you, and swing your legs out to Dandasana staff pose. If you cannot sit with a straight back in Dandasana, then give yourself support, 1, 2, even 3 blankets under your sits bones so that your back can stay straight and this doesn't round back out. So be honest with yourself. Again, this is your practice and you want to do the things that will maximize the poses for you. Did you have a question? No, okay. From Dandasana, extend the thighs, lively up the feet, spread the toes, press the backs of the knees down into the mat, and see if you can reach the legs away even longer. Lift the sternum and swing the arms up into Urdhva Hastasana. This is never as easy as it looks, is it? Press the thighs down, and from that, lift the arms up and away. Again, we're making space in the torso and strengthening the legs for those standing poses that are to come. 1 more extension. Really extend through the legs. Are your toes still lively? Are they still pointing straight up? Lift the sternum and release. Good. And now come to standing. So it's early in the morning. Let's start with Samastiti, which is the Tadasana with the legs hip width apart. And hip width just means coming straight down from the hip sockets. So make sure that your feet are right under the hip sockets. And once everybody is settled, feet straight ahead, midlines of the feet parallel to the edges of the mat. Then lift up your left toes, spread the toes out, and spread the foot back down on the ground, and do the same thing with the right foot. Lift, spread the toes, and spread back down. Then lift and spread the heels back. We're trying to get the biggest, firmest, widest foundation on our feet that we can. Then from this position, stand on your feet and observe. Is the weight more in the front of the foot, the ball of the foot, or the back, the heel? Whichever it is, even it out. Your weight should be even in the front of the foot, the ball, the 2 points of the ball of the foot in that side, and then the back. So even that out. From that even foot, stomp down as if you were pressing into the ground. Draw your buttock flesh down. Lift the quadriceps to straighten the legs 100%. Lift up through the sternum and gently extend the arms down. Tailbone down, sternum up. Tailbone down, sternum up. And then 1 more time, swing up to Urdhva Hastasana. Doug, if this is too much for you, you can keep an elbow bent, or you can come up bent and then straighten it. Sometimes that's easier on a shoulder, but be careful. Do protect that shoulder. Everybody else, from those heels stomping down into the ground and the balls of the feet extending down into the ground, lift those arms up even further. buttock down, arms up. Buttock down, arms up, and now everybody release the trapezius without giving up 1 inch of arm length. The trapezius should be rolling down, not scrunching up towards your shoulders. So trapezius down, arms up. And release. Let's start with Vrikshasana, a balancing pose. I prefer to balance off of my mat. There's just that little bit of squishiness that makes me less stable, but if you want to balance on a mat, that's fine. If your balance is questionable, you can move to a wall and have just the buttocks brushed against the wall. Don't be too close to the wall or you won't have mobility. But if you want to balance, stay in the middle of the room, come to a foot together Tadasana, same thing. Big toe base joints pressing down, heels pressing down, weight even, buttocks down, sternum up. Good. Then turn your right leg out, unmirroring. Lift the leg up. Take the ankle. Lean a little to your left and put that foot as high in the groin as you can. Leaning to the left allows you to bring the foot up even higher. And then as you get the balance, suck your left hip in, lift the sternum up, release the arms, and you can bring them to Namaskar. Keep pressing into the big toe base joint of the standing leg and descend the buttocks of the lifted leg. And then raise your arms, lift your sternum. Breathe. One more extension, descend the buttocks one more time of that bent leg. And then arms down, leg down, second side. So back to your Tadasana. Always start from the best Tadasana you can muster. Big toe base joints down, heels down, buttocks down, sternum up, and turn your left leg out. Bend the knee, reach for the ankle, lean a little to your right side, and then place that foot in the groin. When you're ready, release the ankle. Namaskar. Keep pressing the big toe base joint as you raise your arms and descend the left buttock. Get long in the torso. Embody the pose, be a tree. One more extension. Arms down, foot down, and release. Beautiful. All right, Ardha Uttanasana. So let's go ahead and enter from a hands and knees position. Your wrists should be right under your shoulders. First fingers pointing straight ahead. If you have really tight shoulders, you can turn the arms out a little bit, but for classical position, we can put our first fingers straight ahead. And then the knees should be a little behind the hips, so that when we push up, we'll be in the proper length. Roll your upper arms out so that the eyes of the elbow face your computer screen. Descend the sternum, draw the buttocks back now, don't let the back sway. Tuck your toes under and press up. Keep your knees, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see for a second. Keep your knees a little bent at the beginning so you can pull the sternum forward and lift the sits bones. I'm on my toes, my knees are bent, and I'm extending my sternum toward my palms. Then I straighten my legs, let my head drop, and slowly bring your heels back down. Extend, press through the first finger base joint, push through all the base joints, keep rolling those upper arms externally. Pull the hips back and up toward the seat as you push the legs down through the heels. Get long in the spine. Stay, I'm coming up to look. This is a traction for the spine. That's the beauty of Ardha Uttanasana. Good, reinvigorate the arms. Press through the first finger base joint and pull, nice direction. Pull all the way back up through those sits bones. Doug, if this becomes too much, come down to child's pose and rest. And press through the heels, one more breath. Then we're not gonna come down to sit. What we're gonna do this time is we're gonna walk our feet forward. And when your feet are under your hips, stop. Take a breath. Press the feet evenly, lift the buttocks up to the ceiling, and then hands to the hips. Roll your shoulders back and straighten your spine, and come up. That went well. Let's turn around and do this one different way. I think I can show over here. Those are looking good for everybody. The big challenge in Adho Mukha Svanasana is keeping the arms and legs straight and really extending the spine. That's what the pose is for spinal length. But it seems like everything conspires against that sometimes. Our elbows want to buckle, our knees want to buckle, our torso wants to bend in. So one of the ways that we can try to teach our body what it should do in this is by taking the short edge of the mat to the wall, or a piece of heavy furniture if you don't have a wall available, because all we really need is this little corner of the wall to put our hands at. Now I'm going to show you up here. I'm going to put my fingers in this shape at the corner of the wall, because I don't know how visible it is. Let's see, back this way on this. So the fingers go like this so that we press away. That actually helps keep the arms straight. So I just put my fingertips and thumb tip, first finger and thumb tip of the wall, tuck the toes, press up and back, and then I really can push those arms and pull the sits bones and extend everything back. It's an excellent tool to give yourself that length. So find a little piece of wall or heavy furniture. Good. And Doug, again, if this doesn't feel good on your shoulder, then just come out, okay? Nice, so press back, pull back even more through the sits bones. Chaya, I bet you could edge your feet back an inch. They look like they could be just a little bit good, yes. And then everybody press the backs of the thighs to the wall behind you and stomp the heels down into the earth as you feel that spinal length coming in. These are looking good. 3 more breaths. 1, 2, 3. And this time just come down to Adho Mukha Svanasana, child's pose, toes together, knees apart, and take a quick rest. All right, that was enough of a quick rest. Come back to standing, and we will start Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. So if you like to use bricks, and you have bricks for triangle pose, you can set up the bricks on either side of the back of your mat. Bricks are not necessary if you can't come all the way down to your ankle, and most of us can't. You can use the shin, so that's perfectly acceptable. So from Tadasana, and remember back to all those points of Tadasana we've already gone through, either step or jump your feet wide. I'm going to step because there's a cat next to my feet and I would hate to kick her. So there we go. In this position, ankles should be under the wrists. Lift the arms up and spread them out to spread the collarbones apart. Press the outer heels into the ground to keep the legs lifted. And then I'm mirroring again. Turn your left toes in a little and your right leg all the way to the right. Re-square your pelvis and torso to the front and re-extend the arms. Good. Then press into the back heel, the left heel. Lift up through the side ribs to get long. Lift your right arm. Come just parallel as if you're going to reach the wall across the room. Keep pressing the back heel. Keep weight on the back heel. Do not let all of the weight come to the front foot. Keep weight at the back heel, but press the front big toe ball joint. And when you're as long as you can get, bring your hand to the shin or the brick and pop your other hand on your waist. Press into the back leg and extend your right ribs. Don't let them bunch up. Really get long so that the torso is still parallel to itself. Good. And then with the arms still on the hip, roll the torso to the ceiling. Keep pressing the back heel to get length. Now one more fine point before we raise the arm. From the front leg, your right leg, suck that hip back toward the wall behind you. Right? Bring it in, that brings the sits bone forward, and then press the back leg back. So it's a scissoring motion, the front sits bone is rolling forward as the back leg is rolling back to bring all of your body into one plane instead of sticking out. One plane. Then roll the chest again, and now lift the arm to Trikonasana. Extend. If your neck is okay, you can look up at your thumb, but it's always acceptable to keep your head straight ahead, or even if you have neck pain, look down, but keep the chest open. If you look down at the floor, make a point to keep rolling the chest. Now check in with the bottom arm, the right shoulder, and roll the right shoulder back. It has a tendency to roll forward. 2 more breaths here. Keep pressing into the back leg. Keep rolling the right sits bone forward and pressing the left leg back. Extend. And then lift from your left arm to come up and out. Toes forward. Hands on your hips for a moment. Good. Take a breath. Be sure that your feet are still parallel to the outer edges of the mat. Press into the heels to lift the sternum again. Raise your arms. Second side, this time right toes going a little, left leg goes totally out. Re-square the pelvis and torso to the front. Everything is facing front. Press those heels, lift your left arm, and reach, reach, reach. Reach it as long as you can. This is harder than the real pose. And when you got as much length in those left ribs as possible, bring the hand down to the brick or shin and park the right hand on your hip. First thing, press into the right heel, pull its sits bone forward. Nope, I'm sorry, backwards, I'm mirroring. Press with the right heel and push it backward as you roll the left foot sits bone forward. And then roll the chest up. Roll the chest up. Then just like we did on the last side, make sure that you have weight in the back foot, and then take the front sits bone and pull it back to elongate the torso. Feel when you pull that sits bone back, it makes the bottom ribs longer and keeps them parallel. Roll the torso one more time, and then extend the arm. Again, if your neck is okay, you can look up, or it's okay to look sideways or down. Then finally, roll the bottom shoulder back and extend. Embody the pose for just 2 more breaths. Keep working, extend all 4 limbs, be a triangle. And then head back to center and lift up from your right arm, toes forward, and step or jump together. That went well. We're going to come back to Trikonasana after our Parsva Konasana, because you may have noticed when I came down, I wasn't very far down. It's early in the morning. I was using my brick, so this is as far down as I came. And it usually takes some warming up to get me to be able to descend my torso. But this sequence of Parsva Konasana into Trikonasana is a really good way to do that. So first, let's just take our Parsva Konasana side angle pose. Again, if you want bricks, you can use bricks. If you don't have bricks handy, you might want to get a book or something to put your hand on, because for a lot of people, it's very hard for the hand to come to the floor in this pose. Y'all can't see each other. Oh, you can see each other, can you? I don't know. No, I'm spotlighted. So, yeah, everybody's ready now. So from Tadasana, and again, press big toe base joint and heels. Step or jump wide. Feet parallel to the edges of the mat. Extend the arms. And we're going to your right first, so left toes in, a little right leg all the way to the right, re-square the pelvis and torso. Now this is a bent knee pose, so let's oil up the knees first thing in the morning. Watch just for a second, 3 times, and I'll do it first, then we'll do it 3 times together. 3 times we're gonna bend the knee all the way over the ankle and then come back up. And notice when I'm down, ideally, that top thigh is parallel to the floor, okay? So let's do it together 3 times. Extend the arms and 1, back up. Be sure the knee tracks right over the middle toe. 2, and keep your torso straight up. 3, and we're gonna stay on 3. Descend the torso even more. If your knee is past the shin, move the foot out. The shin should be parallel to the walls, okay? And then reach over, hand to the brick, other hand to your hip. And just take a moment to open the groins. Press the bent knee back into the arm that's on the brick to open the groin and keep pressing back into your left heel. From that position, rotate the torso just like we did in Trikonasana toward the ceiling. Descend the hips one more time. First, take your upper arm straight up, then turn the palm toward your head side, and press back into your leg as you bring the arm over the head in one straight line with the back leg. Reach through the ring finger. Rotate the torso to the ceiling. One more breath, and then arm up, straighten the knee, toes forward, hands on your hips. Good. That is an invigorating pose. It takes a lot of effort, but it's really good. I hope you can feel it opening the groins and teaching us about that rotation of the torso. Second side, arms out. This time, right toes in, left leg out, re-square the pelvis and torso. And we're gonna do the same 3 knee bends to lubricate the knee joint. So all together, 1, up, good. Be sure the knee tracks over the middle toe. 2, up, and 3, descend the hips. Get as much of a right angle in the knee as you can. Descend the hips even more. Keep pressing into the back heel. Then reach up and over, hand to the brick, other hand to your hip. Press your left knee into its arm to rotate the torso and open the groin. Keep descending the hips. Good. Roll the top shoulder back, and then reach straight up with the arm. Roll the shoulder more. Turn the palm, and reach. One straight line of energy from the back heel through the ring finger. Roll the torso up under that arm, maybe an out. Keep pressing the left leg back into its arm. And then arm up. Straighten the knee. Toes forward, step, or jump together. All right, stand in Tadasana. I promised you that we were going to go from side angle pose back to Trikonasana. And I'm going to show on my right side, because I'll show on my left, because we're going to go to your left first. So just watch. Again, I want to show it because this is kind of interesting. So we come right back down to the full pose. We won't go through all the steps. We're just going to go to the full pose, okay? Then I take my hand to my hip. I act as if someone had grabbed my tights and is going to pull my hips up, or your left hip up, this hip up, while I'm keeping my chest down. So lift the hips, chest down, lift the hips as I straighten the leg. And look at this. Suddenly, my Trikonasana is a lot lower than it was last time. It is such a wonderful little mini sequence to help you get into this pose better. So let's all try it, okay? So, from our Tadasana, step or jump wide. Good. Left toes in a little, right leg out all the way, re-square the pelvis and torso. Lift up, get room in the side ribs at the very beginning. And go ahead and come all the way down. Arm to the brick, other arm over the head. Remember, the full pose is just the beginning of this little sequence. Then from here, go ahead and grab your tights. That little proprioceptive hand helps. And as you straighten the knee and lift up on the hip, straighten the knee, lift up on the hip, focus on keeping the chest low. Then extend the bottom ribs, your right ribs, and raise the arm into your Trikonasana. Good. Press that right big toe base joint, and extend the right ribs. If it's okay on your neck, you can look up. Enjoy this new improved Trikonasana for a moment. And then up, toes forward, hands on your hips. I'm gonna come look at you guys. Did that help anybody get lower in the pose? Thumbs up if it did. Isn't that amazing? I just love that little sequence. Yeah, it's pretty fun. All right, let's do it on the second side. So, you guys are already wide-legged, arms out. Right toes in, left leg out, re-square the pelvis and torso. And then, remember, track your knee over the middle toe. We're gonna come straight down to the bent position, arm out into the brick, and go ahead and take your arm up. And again, Doug, if this is not good on the shoulder, keep your hand on your hip. But take the arm up into the full position. Take a breath here. And then, grab your tights. Keep the chest low as you straighten the knee and lift the hip, straighten the knee and lift the hip. Chest low, chest low, chest low. It's like magic. And do all of the things you know about Trikonasana. Press into the back heel, front big toe base joint, rotate the torso, and come to the final Trikonasana pose. Enjoy. And up, toes forward, and step or jump. All right, that was lovely. I think we're ready for Ardha Chandrasana. I'm gonna come look at everybody. Does everybody have wall space for half moon pose? So I see, Doug, is that a thumbs up? Your thumbs are above the screen. Yes. Yes? Good, okay, perfect. So go ahead and come to the wall for your Trikonasana, for your Ardha Chandrasana. Take a brick, and I'm really going to your right first. So we start Ardha Chandrasana in Trikonasana. For the wall support, just have your buttocks grazing the wall. You don't want to be pressed up against the wall because then you wouldn't have any room for the shoulders and the legs. So once you're at your wall, go ahead and take your legs wide. Turn the toes to your right. Re-square the pelvis and torso. And if your shoulders are broader, then the wall at the foot side is going to have to be further away. Lift up and then go ahead and come to Trikonasana. Do not cheat yourself with your Trikonasana. Take a real Trikonasana. Press the back thigh back. Roll the front sits bone forward. Extend the arms away from each other. Truly embody the pose. Good. Then, hand to the hip, left hand to the hip. Bend your right knee and step up with the back leg. Hands to the brick. And then lift the leg. Straighten the knee. Roll the torso forward. Now, your right palm should be on the brick right under the right shoulder. Your left hand is still on your hip. Pull the hip back, just like we talked about in those other poses. So pull this right leg hip back toward the back heel, as if we're trying to reach for the back heel, and feel how that gives you more length in the side ribs. Good. And then extend the back leg. Really reach for the big toe base joint. The leg should be a little above hip level. Spine straight, and then raise the arm. Rotate the torso to the ceiling, just like we did in Trikonasana. Keep extending through both big toe base joints. Keep weight on the heel of the standing leg. And breathe. We're going to take several breaths here since we have wall support. Again, if your neck bothers you, it's perfectly acceptable to look down or straight ahead. But keep rolling the chest up. Reinvigorate the top leg, lift from the inner thigh. And then to come back, we're going to come through Trikonasana. So bend the standing leg, reach back with your left leg, and come to Trikonasana. And up, toes forward, legs together, and move your brick to the second side. It is so nice to do that with wall. Get yourself set up at the second side. Again, we're going to start in Trikonasana. So, step your legs wide, arms up. Right leg in, left leg all the way out, and then re-square the pelvis to the front. Then Trikonasana. Roll the torso here. Keep length in those left ribs here. Keep the shoulders moving away from the head here. Then right hand to the hip. Bend the left knee, step forward with the right leg, hand on the brick. And as you straighten that left leg, lift the right leg up into the air. Roll the torso. Suck the left hip back toward the right heel. And finally raise the arm. Extend all of the limbs. Roll the torso to the ceiling. Keep pressing the left big toe base joint. Don't let the weight roll to the outer side of the foot. Feel how that helps invigorate the inner leg, which we need for this pose to stay even. And we'll take 2 more breaths here. Extend, reinvigorate the right inner thigh. Lift up from the inner thigh. Extend through the metatarsals. And then to come back, we're coming back through Trikonasana. So bend the leg, reach back. Trikonasana. Shoulders away from the ears. And up, toes forward, and step together. All right, since everybody has a piece of wall, let's go ahead and take the wall for just a hanging Uttanasana. That means I lift my buttock flesh, I move my feet about a foot, 12 inches away from the wall so that I can lift my buttock flesh and lean my sits bones back into the wall. Then with straight active legs, I'll just allow my torso to descend. You can either put your hands on the floor or you can cross your arms, whatever's most comfortable for you, but hang. Keep the legs working enough to extend the spine down. Notice the relationship between those things. The more the legs are straight, the more the quadriceps are lifting, the more the spine can release. Lift the legs, release the spine. Let your head go, just let your head relax. Lift the thighs, release the head. We're going to take a quick twist in this, so stay down and just take your left arm and reach it to the right ankle and take a tiny, tiny twist. Just pull a little bit to your right. Keep your head hanging, keep your thighs engaged, keep your big toe base joints pressing. And of course, I didn't have to say keep your heels pressing because that's pretty much a given in this pose. One more extension, let the torso extend down over that leg. Then come back to center. Take a breath. Second side. Keep both sit bones on the wall as you rotate to the side. Extend. Head releases, let legs work. Back to the center, and then straighten your spine, hands to the hips, come up, and you can just take your fingertips to the wall and push yourself away. There you go. Yes, beautiful. All right, let's take a Parsvottanasana, which is intense side angle, forward fold. So for this, take your bricks to the front of your mat and stand between them. Oh, you can't see my feet anymore, so I'm going to go sideways, but y'all stay facing forward so that you don't have to turn your head to see me. So Tadasana. Keep your left leg where it is and step your right leg back 2 big steps and then re-square your pelvis. So in case you didn't see that, when I stepped back, this pelvis came back with me. So I really have to press my right hip forward and pull the left hip back to re-square those hips, but you want the hips square to the front, and then stomp down on that back leg. Keep weight in the back leg again as you lift up through the torso. Put your hands on your hips. Square pelvis and lift the sternum. Even let your head go back if that's okay with your neck. Really coil. Then keeping the hips square, keeping the sternum up. Pivot from the hips forward and bring your hands to your bricks in front. Re-square the hips if they got askew. Once again, put weight in the back heel, and from that weight, extend through the sternum. We're still in the concave phase. Reach the sternum away from the square and stable hips. Pull your chest forward. Work the legs. The legs never quit working. They're really the base for this pose. And then see if you can bend your elbows and allow the torso to move further down the leg. If you can get your stomach on the thigh, then extend a little more. See if you can get the rib cage. And if that works, see if you can keep coming down the front thigh. Do not give up the weight in the back heel. Do not give up the firmness of both legs. Keep that as your base as you extend out over the front leg. Torso soft, legs firm. Take one more breath here. Keep pressing into the front big toe base joint. And then we're going to come back to the concave phase. So back up to your bricks. Stretch the spine forward. Make sure the hips are still square and pulling back. And then hands on your hips. Come all the way up and step forward. Obviously, if it's too much on the hamstring to come down into the forward fold, stay up at the height that you need. And if anybody needs, I mean, the bricks are just a suggestion. If you need more height, and all of you that I know, I know there's one person I'm not sure I know, but if you've been doing this for a while, you know if you need a chair instead of the bricks. So take the height that you need to protect your hamstrings. Second side. Stand in between your bricks. This time the right leg stays stable, is that correct? Yes. And 2 steps back with the other leg. And then push the back hip forward. Pull the front hip back. Square those hips. Take your fingertips to your pelvis and be sure that the hips are square from the front room, from the front wall. Yes? Then lift up. Sternum up to the ceiling. Pivot from the hips, hands to the bricks. Extend the sternum forward. Keep weight in the back heel. Keep both legs working intensely as you shoot the sternum out from those legs. And then see if you can bend your elbows. Bring the abdomen to the thigh. Maybe bring the chest to the thigh. Maybe keep going. But keep the hips square. Keep the legs working. And back to the concave phase. Re-square the hips if they came askew in the movement. Hands to the hips. All the way up. And step out. Is that okay? Yes, good. All right. Prasarita Padottanasana is next, our widest legged pose. I will show from the side. So I'm going to use the edge of my mat as a ruler to put my heels on to be sure that I stay in one plane. And again, my legs are really, really wide. I'll show you from the front. This is much wider than Trikonasana. See, they're wider than my wrists. So it's the widest pose that we have. I'll first, when you go down, you won't be able to see. So I'll show quickly, but then we'll move into it more slowly. Press into the heels to lift the inner ankles and inner thighs, lift up through the sternum. Same thing here, lift up, get some concavity in the sternum, pivot forward, hands down. They should be right under my shoulders. pull the sternum forward. I'm making space now. My hips should be right over the ankles. They shouldn't be back or forward. They should be right in line with the ankles as I get long here. Then I'll walk my hands back, allow the back to round, and bring the head to some kind of support. If it doesn't reach the floor, you can use bricks, blankets, any stack of all of those things, whatever works for you. To come out, we come back to the concave face, heel toe in, hands to the hips and up, okay? So let's do it together. Go ahead and get your legs wide on the back of your mat. Yep, use that as a ruler. And then we're gonna go into it mindfully. So press the heels down. Feel the inner ankles lifting. Feel the inner thighs lifting. Hands on the hips. Lift the sternum. Look at the ceiling. Again, if this is not okay for your neck, keep your head straight ahead. Once you've gotten some concavity in your thoracic spine, pivot forward and bring your hands to the mat below. Then pull back a little with your hands as if you were going to scoot the floor back toward your feet. You can't, but that helps pull the sternum forward. So use the leverage of those arms to pull your sternum forward and get more length in the spine before we go to the final position. Lengthen the spine. And then walk your hands back. Allow your head to come down. And rest your head on some support. Now, we don't just relax here. Keep pressing the heels to lift the inner ankles and inner thighs. Keep lifting the shoulders away from the floor up toward the ceiling, but let the neck be soft. Legs working, neck soft. While I'm in this pose, I keep running through the checklist. Press the heels, lift the ankles, lift the thighs. Shoulders up, neck soft. Press the heels. I just do the cycle. And then back to the concave face. Take a moment to really extend the spine again after allowing it to be in that slightly curved position. And then important, heel toe your feet in a little bit. Otherwise, this is probably too hard on the groin to come up from that wide-legged angle. Then hands to the hips, all the way up and step in. How's everybody doing? I'm coming to check. We okay? Good. All right, it's time to start winding down from our active standing poses. So let's come back to the floor and take a Baddha Konasana. So most of us need some height for Baddha Konasana. I use 2 blankets and have a brick nearby. And we'll start from Dandasana, sorry. My feet are out of the frame. All right, from your Dandasana, take your fingertips behind you, lift up, get length in the spine. Even though we're starting to cool down, it's not time to let the spine collapse, pretty much ever. So once you have length in the spine, take your hand, your right hand, and literally use the muscles of the hand to move the leg in. And it's funny when I say that to some people, they'll grab the knee and then they'll just pick the leg up under its own steam. The whole point of using the arm to haul the leg in is to keep the groin soft. Because if you keep the groin soft, you get a better fold than if you used the muscle. So then second side, bring both legs in, heels together, press the heels together. I have short arms, so I need a brick behind me. Not everybody has that problem. I have really, really short arms. So to press behind me, and you want to press your hands behind you, see how that helps you push the heels together, yes? So weight on the hands and then press the heels together. It's okay if the big toe base joints come apart, but the heels have to stay together and have to keep pressing. So press the heels and feel how that opens the groins. Do an experiment. Press your heels, feel the groins. Focus on the results in the groins when your heels are pressing. Then add a little bit to that, including you're pressing the heels, but also draw the knees away from each other. Do you get a little bit more opening in those groins? Press the heels, draw the knees away from each other, sternum up. Press the heels, draw the knees away from each other, sternum up. Now, take your brick that I said you were going to need and place it narrow-wise between your feet. Same thing. Your knees will probably be a little higher now. You'll feel a more intense groin opening, but press your heels into the brick. Spread the knees away. Press your heels into the brick. Spread your knees away and keep the sternum lifted. And now, second width. We're going to go one width wider. Press your heels into the brick, spread your knees away. Press your heels into the brick, spread your knees away. Press your heels into the brick and spread your knees away. You should be feeling some real opening in the groin now. And just because it's the beginning of the month, let's go ahead and take the widest width we have. If it doesn't fit your whole foot, just press the heels. The big toe base joints of my feet are sticking over the brick, but that's okay because we really just need those heels to press. So press your heels into the brick and spread your knees away any amount possible. Keep the sternum lifting. Keep breathing. Heels, knees, sternum. And now, for dessert, we get to remove the brick. We get to come back to our very first original Baddha Konasana position. And for most of us, what that means is that little bit of opening work allows our knees to go closer to the ground. Isn't that nice? Imagine what would happen to your practice if you did that little brick work every single day. And take your hands, bring your knees together, and extend your legs out. All right, I think I'm changing my mind about what I want to do next. So let's go to a Chatuspadasana instead. Just one little shoulder grounding as we warm down. So I like to have a little softness for my head in Chatuspadasana. And actually, let's do Chatush and Seti Bandha. So have a brick nearby. And I don't grab my ankles. I hold the sides of the mat. I have really tight shoulders, and so my ankles are totally not possible. But so for the Chatush, we start lying down, bring the heels as close to the buttocks as possible. Roll and tuck the shoulders back and down. Am I still visible here? Yes, good. Roll and tuck the shoulders back and down so that my chest is open and my shoulders are as far away from my neck as possible. And then I hold the sides of my mat. If your ankles are accessible to you, the classical pose is holding the ankles. Again, my short arms and tight shoulders just don't allow that. So hold something, mat or ankles, and lift the buttocks up. Then roll and tuck the shoulders again and lift. I'm going to take my hair tie out because it's pushing in my neck. Lift the buttocks up. I'm pushing my buttocks up to the ceiling and my shins toward my head to give myself even more lift. Lift. I'm pressing into the big toe base joints and keeping my thighs parallel as I lift. Then after we've held this for a couple of breaths, we'll take the brick, put it widthways under the sacrum. Make sure it's that low, it's nearly at the tailbone. It shouldn't be any higher, that's bad for the back. And then I can just, again, move my shoulders away from my head, keep extending my thighs, but let my hips rest on the brick. To come up, we'll lift the hips up, that's important, and extend the buttocks away as we roll down. Okay, so is everybody ready? Have the brick nearby, be prone, have your knees up, yes. All right, so to begin, heels in, grab either your ankles or the mat, lift your buttocks up and roll your shoulders back away from your head. Use the sticky mat to catch that shoulder flesh so it's really pulling the shoulders down towards your feet. And then lift your buttocks up as much as you possibly can. Keep pressing into the big toe base joint. Don't let the weight roll to the outside. Lift the hips up to the ceiling. Pull the shins in toward the head. Feel how that lifts the hips even more. One more lift. And take your brick. Put it under your sacrum. Extend your thighs from the groin through the inner knees. Get length in those thighs. And rest your hips on that brick. Keep the sternum up. Get quiet. You stay. I'm coming down to C. Doug, if your knees are bothering you, you can walk your legs further away. You can walk your feet further away from you. Yep. And keep extending mightily through the inner thighs. That takes some of the pressure off the knees. And if it really does keep bothering the knees, just come out. Everybody extend through the thighs, through the inner knees. There we go. Keep the sternum lifted. Nice. This is a very chest opening pose. Those are really good for us for all sorts of reasons, not the least of which is because they're really good for our respiratory system. And in this COVID era, it's important to do those respiratory poses. So open the chest. Two more breaths here. And after your second long, slow breath, press into your heels and lift your hips off your brick. Engage your buttocks towards your ankles. Move the brick out of the way and slowly roll down vertebra by vertebra until you are flat on your back again. Good. Then tuck your knees into your chest, roll to your right and come up to seated. Then we'll take a Upavista Konasana, so take the height that you need to keep a straight spine. So most people need blankets under their sits bones. If you take blankets, turn them at an angle so that your thighs are not impeded. So what I mean by take the blanket edge like this. And you can have as many blankets as you need, but have the corner of it like this so that your sits bones are supported, but your thighs can come down. And have a belt nearby. And if you have short arms like me, I need a blanket behind me to press my hands into. So at first, just press your hands into the floor, or if you're short arms, into your blanket, and lift your sternum up. Press the thighs down. Extend the thighs, calves. Extend out through the big toe base joints. Be sure the toes are pointing straight up to the ceiling. Good. And keeping the thighs pressing down mightily. Urdhva Hastasana. Lift up, get long. And then cactus arms and turn to your right. And bring one hand on each side of that right leg. Relift the sternum and use your hands on the floor to twist. Keep the left sits bone grounded, but roll towards your right leg. Don't forget the left leg. Keep the sits bone pressing, keep the leg extending. Don't let it go to sleep because we're not facing it anymore. Keep it active as you turn toward your right leg. And then grab your strap. Strap the right foot. You can pull a little more intensely with your left arm to turn the torso more clearly toward that foot. See, this is me not pulling, this is me pulling. But again, keep the right sits bone grounded, keep the right toes pointing straight up, keep the right leg extended. And we're just gonna go up for a moment. And then see if you can walk a little forward toward the foot. Keep the spine straight. Toward the foot, keep the spine straight. Toward the foot, keep the spine straight. And then bend your elbows and briefly allow yourself to descend over that leg. Keep the back sits bone down. Keep the back leg active. Take 2 breaths. And then back up to vertical and use the strap to pull the spine up. And release, back to center. Fingertips behind you again. Get even, press the legs equally and evenly down and out. Urdhva Hastasana. Lift the sternum. Cactus arms. This time over the left leg. So again, use your hands to rotate. You'll be pulling a little bit with your right hand and pushing away a little bit with your left hand to turn your abdomen toward that front foot. Lift. And grab your strap. And again, use the leverage of the strap to lift the spine and to rotate the torso. So you'll be pulling a little more with your right arm than your left. Put your mind back into the right sits bone. Is it pressing? Back into the right leg. Is it extending? Back into the right toes. Are they still pointing straight up and active? Lift one more time. Walk forward. Lift the spine. Walk forward. Lift the spine. Walk forward. Lift the spine. Ground your right sits bone. Rotate your torso and bend your elbows and see if you can extend. Keep the right sits bone down. Keep the spine long. And back up. Use the strap. Get the length in the spine. And back to center. Then you can use your arms to bring your legs in from the wide position. And take the short edge of your mat to the wall. Checking my time. Legs up the wall, so have 2 blankets at the wall. rolled edge facing out. To get in, I put my sits bones on the wall and roll sideways so that they stay on the wall as I come in. And then when I lift my hips and center myself in the blanket, my sits bones are on the wall, my legs are stretching straight up, and I can just relax my arms in a cactus shape or just palms out. But be sure that the armpit chest is open and the chest is open and broad. Viparita Karani. With every exhalation, feel how your abdomen becomes more pacified as it descends with that exhalation. Soften the abdomen, no effort here. With each exhalation, identify any places in your body that are holding tension and let them go with that out breath. Draw your knees into your chest. Roll to your right, careful because you're on some height. And when you press yourself up to seated, be sure that you press your head last. And then set up for your favorite Shavasana. If your back is bothering you at all, you can do several things. The best back release is to take a chair and have Shavasana with your shins on the chair. You can also take blankets under your knees or a bolster under your knees. Same thing, it gives the back a little more relief. If you don't need back relief, you might want to take some thigh support. So in those, you can even just take blankets and put them on your thighs in your Shavasana. That little bit of extra pressure allows the femur bones to release and allows the body to settle more deeply. So take your favorite Shavasana, but as you come into Shavasana, and you should be entirely on your mat. Remember, When you lie back, lift your buttocks, move the buttocks toward your heel side, and then extend your legs and let them fall away from each other. Then when you recline, take the time to lift each shoulder and move the shoulder blades down toward your sits bones to elongate the neck. Arms out at least 45 degrees away from you. Give your armpit chest lots of room. Palms up, and if you need some support for your head, be sure that the blanket comes all the way to the tops of your shoulders to completely support your neck. Okay, so I'll give you a minute to settle into your favorite Shavasana. Release all effort. Allow your eyes to release into the back of your head. Release your tongue, your jaw, your throat. If thoughts enter your mind, acknowledge them and let them go. Focus on the breath. Draw your awareness back. Extend your fingers. Extend your toes. Bring your hands to your ribcage. Tuck one knee into your chest, followed by the other. And roll to your right side. Rest for a moment. When you're ready, use your hands to press yourself up, your left hand, but let your head hang. Head comes last. Head hangs, don't leave from the head. Comfortable seated position. Bring your palms together, lift your spine up. Pay our respects to this practice. Namaste.